Shalom, Holy Blossom. Like many of you, I am shaken by Prime Minister Carney's statement asserting that Canada will recognize a Palestinian state in September. While I share the yearning for a future in which Israelis and Palestinians will live side by side in peace and security and dignity, that possibility feels further away now than it did half my lifetime ago. This announcement, made without a negotiated agreement between Israelis and Palestinians, undermines the very principles upon which a just and lasting peace must be built. The Jewish calendar is now turned to the early days of the month of Av. After the dignity and beauty of this Shabbat will come the grief of Tisha B'Av. We will sit bent with sorrow and the suffering of the ages as we recall the destruction of the first and second temples of Jerusalem and how our peoples were taken as captives, as hostages to foreign lands. Although these historic events took place more than 2,000 years ago, the aftershocks of loss of homeland are felt acutely to this very day. Soon we will take up the beautiful and haunting melody of the biblical book of Lamentations, which recounts the brutal assault by our enemies and the equally painful abandonment of our neighbors. If there was ever a year when Tisha B'Av and the book of Lamentations seems relevant, it is this year. The first verses personify Jerusalem as a woman mistreated and misunderstood. Echa yashva badad. Alas, alone sits the city once great with people. She that was great among the nations has now become like a widow. The princess among states has become a thrall. Her allies have betrayed her. They have become her foes. This Shabbat, just before Tisha B'Av, is called by a special name, Shabbat Chazon, the Shabbat of vision. I'll have more to offer you at tomorrow morning's service, but for now, I'd like to try to articulate some of my reflections on the news of the day and at this strange time in the life of our people. I believe recognizing a Palestinian state now is premature and irresponsible. I believe real peace cannot be imposed from the outside. It must be created from within, and with significant support from many friends and allies. I believe the matter of Palestinian statehood is too important to be addressed in the form of a political threat or a symbolic gesture. It must be earned through real, measured progress towards peaceful coexistence. I believe that without clear preconditions, recognition will not lead to peace. I fear it will lead to even greater instability here, there, and everywhere. I believe the recent statement made by the Arab League, the EU, and over a dozen other countries, including Canada, is a significant step towards freeing the Palestinian people and the world from the terror of Hamas. I believe the hostages, both the living and the dead, must be restored immediately to their families. I believe, like 70% of Israelis believe, that the Israel-Hamas war should now come to an end. How will the many countries who signed on to the New York Declaration this week, including Canada, take responsibility for a comprehensive plan for the day after and for the years that will be required for a responsible rehabilitation of Gaza and of Gazans? For example, how will they disempower Hamas and destroy its terror tunnel network, 75% of which still stands? How will they create an educational system that denounces hatred of Israel and hatred of Jews? I believe that Canada's call for a Palestinian right of return does not allow for a Jewish state and a Palestinian state to live side by side, but will in fact lead to the eventual creation of two Palestinian states, or one larger one without a Jewish state, and this cannot stand. I believe the current Palestinian Authority has shown little ability to responsibly govern the West Bank. Mahmoud Abbas's pay-to-slay policy and Holocaust denial are evidence that Canada and the countries who plan to invest in a future Palestinian state should look elsewhere for true Palestinian partners in peace. I believe all governmental and all non-governmental parties responsible for providing humanitarian aid to the people of Gaza, including Israel, must act together and swiftly. Hunger must never be used as a weapon of war. I believe Israel's brave and brilliant fight against the IRGC and its terrorist proxies throughout the Middle East have made the world more safe and should be gratefully acknowledged by world leaders, including our own. I believe the extremist threat that runs through Israel's current government is a danger to Israel's democracy. Recognizing that I do not get a vote there, I stand with the majority of Israelis who have been demonstrating for change, and I will use my voice to amplify theirs. I believe the Jewish civilians who act violently against West Bank Palestinians and their property must be held to account by Israel and be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. I believe the current US government is responsible for creating economic strain and distrust with Canada. And at the same time, I believe we owe thanks to the United States for its multifaceted support, which has allowed Israel to develop and activate sophisticated defense systems. Much of Israel's population, including our own family and friends there, has been traumatized by the terror they endured since October 7th. We dare not imagine life in Israel without Iron Dome. I believe the future of Israel is bound up with the Palestinian people and vice versa. I believe the destiny of the state of Israel is bound up with the destiny of the Jewish people everywhere. I believe Canada can still be a force for moral clarity rather than moral compromise. I pray that the government of Canada will recognize that until the hostages are released and other reasonable conditions are met, this statement ought to be put on hold. In the meantime, there are many things that Canada can do right now to help advance a better future for both Israelis and Palestinians. I encourage you to share your own I believe statements at your Shabbat dinner tables tonight. That will be a form of prayer too. The concluding verses of the Book of Lamentation include these. Lama lanetzach tishkachenu. Why have you forsaken us so utterly, O God? Why have you forsaken us for all time? Hashivenu Adonai elecha. Turn us back, O God, to yourself. V'nashuva, and we will return. Chadesh yamenu kekedem. Renew our days as they were once at the beginning. Shabbat Shalom.